Singer Stylist 533, a very complete machine from the era where Singer started to put plastic gears, which are not necessarily a problem. However, you may need to inspect them closely if you are purchasing one. Use a flashlight. The two problems that I found with these gears, especially the front ones, the rear ones usually are better. One of the problem is, and before you do anything, do not spin the machine, do not plug it in, and don't run it with electric power. Why? Because one of the problem happens is some people put grease in there, which was not the right grease, and it stayed there for a couple of decades. These are from the 70s, and the grease would leak on the gears in between, and it would just harden. So the moment you spin it, even by hand, you press the gears against hardened grease or gunk, and it will just shatter the gears, chop the gears off. So turn it by hand, normally, spin the handle by hand gently. If you feel it gets stuck at some point, do not move more. So the thing, this is the first failure type, if you want. The second is you will have a crack someplace. The gear would just split at some point, either one. It's harder to see on black one like these ones, but use a flashlight and try to spin it around gently by hand and look for a crack. I'm not sure if a crack it's a problem in the functioning of the machine, if it kind of alters the stitches or not. But the problem, like I said, is that gunk that you find in between the gears could be on both sides. And what you want to do is simply, sorry for the gross, you just get one of these Q-tips. These are wooden one, bamboos I think. Just split one in two so you get a thinner end, and just go one by one, scoop everything, hopefully it's not too hardened, and just clean everything on both wells, spinning gently by hand. This is the first thing you want to do. And then what I recommend, maybe use isopropyl alcohol, prefer 99%, it's stronger. Use Q-tips and just clean all old grease, clean well in between each teeth. It takes time, but hey. And then it's up to you. People say either don't lubricate them, or, and this is important, do not to use any kind of oil, synthetic or not. Recommend don't use any kind of grease. This is the grease that is being recommended on internet. Silicone with PTFE. This is, you don't need to have a Volvo, but you can buy them from Volvo or any hardware store. With PTFE, this should be safe. You just spread a little bit in between each tooth on one gear. It's going to go on the other gear as well. That's the main issue with these machines. You have another set of plastic gears here. I'm sure if you can see the second one, which is behind it. Otherwise, these are just perhaps comment a little bit on maintenance. I'm cleaning this one, and these are zigzag machines from the 70s. So it's not the first generation of zigzag. It would be perhaps the third generation. If you want the first generations, I think, I don't remember exactly, the 300 perhaps 11, if I'm not wrong. That would be the first generations with those small tabs that you click to engage a certain zigzag pattern. That's quite impressive. The second generations will be the 401, and this I believe it would be the third generation. Why I'm mentioning this? Because the zigzag design, mechanical design, did evolve from on Singer and other makers. So the design, the way the mechanisms are put together, it did evolve, and I think this is not the last evolution, which makes it, for me, I'm an engineer, makes it very interesting. I think the design and the, if you want, the production of these machines from a mechanical point of view, just not saying the functionality, but just mechanically looking, it's not just complex, but also very well put together. And I think it was, I just don't know what to say. Why did Singer chip out on plastic gears when everything else it's so well designed? It appears to have quality parts to it because there are many parts that rotate and move together. And too bad they put those plastic gears to save I don't know how much money, because it's easier to manufacture a plastic component than to machine a metal one. Machining a metal gear, yes, it's more expensive, but when you put such thing together, I think it was worth doing them in metal and have them last a long time. All this to say that the machine itself, you see these lights are very nice. They are not like the modern ones in front, are a little bit like 401, 301 too, I think. So it's still the kind of old Singer design with a hint of modernity to it. Yes, it starts being plastic, the cover is plastic, but the base is metal here. All this is metal. And what's also interesting is that these are not very heavy machines. It's not 401 light, although I would say it's not far away from the 401. So these are not heavy to carry. It's not easy and light to carry, but it's not heavy like, you know, the iron cast ones. Also, at least this model, I'm not sure if all of them came with this type of pedal, which to me is the best Singer pedal. If you know, 401, I believe, came with the button pedal, which I don't want to offend anyone, but I think is by far the worst design, uncomfortable and not very efficient when you click on it. These pedals are just great when they work well. However, there is a problem. I have a video. If you find them, they heat up, just no longer use them. Careful, discard them. There is a metal bar that breaks inside. I do have a video, you can open them and check inside. So yes, it's an interesting design. Maybe a few lubrication point. There is this cam here, there is another cam there. I put regular grease on that. You can put also silicone if you want, but I prefer regular grease. There's going to be two belts, one transmission from top to bottom, and the other second one, you don't see it here, is on the motor, which is internal, and this time I think it's a different motor than the 401, is more compact. Yes, so there are many rotating points. This one is an internal cam inside here, so it needs oil on the sides. You just basically rotate the handle and just see what moves. Maybe use a flashlight because it's not always easy to see what moves in there. Also, you have pivots there. You see these are brackets. Careful not to put oil on the belt. The belt on this machine, it's very good condition, both belts actually, but I have to point out, you better look at the belts. In my opinion, these belts are made to last very long time. Consider this being 50 years old machine. However, if you find cracks on the belts, don't touch that machine. I don't think it's possible. I'm not sure how possible it is to replace both belts. From the way it looks, it's a very different job. Also, I know there are people who say you can replace the gears here, but don't count on that thing. You need to time the machine and access. I don't think it's that easy. Maybe let's look at the top a little bit. You see, I like the tensioner. It's quite nice, and I don't know, it's not something cheap. So inside, you have just kind of typical, if you want, but it's a earlier design here. So we'll have the brackets. We need to lubricate the brackets. I'm not sure about this. Should be a screw, so that will be lubrication hole. You have another lubrication hole here. There is a belt there. You see the belt, and this is the motor belt here. And it's not so hard to oil here at the top. I think at the bottom is much more important, and then you have the front of the machine, the typical lubrication points. All this to say that I think it's, look at the throat plate, middle plate, it's so nice. It's just quality metal, well finished. It's really sad. Singer, for some mysterious reason, they went to put those plastic gears. They may still be good, but you know, they have sensitive points. These are actually stainless steel, or is that, I think it's chrome. So these are metal, right? So you see, these are expensive to make, and then you put some plastic gears in there. Anyhow, I think it's a interesting machine, and it's worth having one. But again, you need to pay attention with the maintenance, and my opinion also, I would say, be careful, don't try heavy materials on this, right? Because those plastic gears are no longer as strong as new, so you may want to just use light materials, not something that it's demanding on the machine.